MagMongoSlade.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This episode of SmackDown was phoned in. I'd say it was probably the softest episode of SmackDown in a long time. But it still has some value to it. It was a little weird, though. Pretty weird episode of SmackDown. Of course, as usual, we start with the Bloodline. Paul Heyman is in the ring, and I'm going to try to shorten this up. So, Paul talks about the Bloodline being under a 2-pronged attack from Sami Zayn and from Cody Rhodes. And from Sami Zayn, he calls Sami Zayn a psycho rebel, which is hilarious. And said that Cody Rhodes is that Dusty raised an idiot. That this couldn't be more personal because those championships are the family crest of the Anoa'i Fatu family. And without them, there is no bloodline. So Sami Zayn interrupts, says that there is no one there to protect Paul. And if he wanted to, that a month ago, the bloodline would have dropped him. He went through them individually solo, would have given the Samoan spike. Jimmy would have super kicked him to death. Jay would have been right behind him. But now there's no one. He left the bloodline. And everybody else is thinking about it too. How long will Jimmy stick around with his abusive cousin? How long will it take before Roman starts seeing Solo as a threat? Is Jay already gone? And what about Heyman himself? Heyman's a known flake, by the way. I'm surprised nobody mentioned that, but he's a flake. And he says that he doesn't have to ask because he's going to have spoilers of his own. That 8 days are all that Roman has left for his championship run. So this was good. I thought this was good. It wasn't as obviously it's going to be compared to the Heyman Cody promo. It wasn't on that level. It wasn't nowhere near that level. But it was still fairly solid as Sami Zayn just comes out there and tells you what you already know. That the bloodline is sort of deteriorating and everybody has their own agenda. And they're now starting to sort of isolate. But this episode was basically just a long setup to explain why the Usos won't be at Elimination Chamber. So they showed throughout the night some clips of Jimmy making phone calls, leaving voicemails, trying to get hold of Jay. Can't find him. Can't get a hold of him. So then finally Jimmy makes like a 3rd or 4th call. He gets voicemail again. Then Paul Heyman pops up and asked if he was trying to talk to Jay. And Jimmy's like, yeah, he was trying to talk to Jay. But then he starts getting ideas that nobody is there to help him except Paul. And he says, hey, you should help me. Then Paul kind of reminds him that he wasn't out there when Paul got accosted by Sami Zayn. Jimmy wasn't out there, but Jimmy was back there making phone calls, trying to find Jay. So that's why he wasn't out there to help Paul Heyman. So then he tells Jimmy that you got to do this by yourself, even if it means defending the titles by yourself. Jimmy has faith in Jay, believes Jay will show up, and goes to the ring solo to defend the titles against Strowman and Ricochet. So during the introductions, the in-ring introductions, Jey Uso comes down through the crowd. He doesn't come out through the entrance. He comes down through the crowd. He gets in the ring and they wrestle a pretty solid to good tag team championship match, defeating Braun and Ricochet. In this match, it was a pretty silly spot where I think Ricochet hit Jimmy Uso with a knee strike. And Jimmy spent the next 2 minutes slowly but surely like melting near the floor. It didn't just lay down. It was pretty silly. All right, so they win. The Usos win. Not a surprise there. Don't understand why Ricochet and Braun Strowman had to be a team. Hopefully their tag team punishment is over and they can go and do other things. But who knows? This is the most over Ricochet's been in a long time. Maybe they might want to keep this thing going for his sake. Anyway, after the match, Jey Uso is talking to Jimmy. They're walking around backstage, and he's telling Jimmy how he'll never leave Jimmy hanging and that he's always going to have his back. So, of course, Jimmy wants to know whether Jay is still involved with the bloodline or not. And Jay kind of waffles before sort of taking his leave. At that point, Paul appears and wants to know whether Jimmy was talking to Jay, which of course he was. Apparently Paul Heyman has a television. Presumably he has a television. I would imagine he has some kind of device where he could watch what was going on and saw that the tag team championships were not forfeited or anything like that. So something had to have occurred, right? So Jay is leaving the arena and he turns a corner and boom, there's Sami Zayn like a ninja. He just pops up in the dark. He welcomed Jay back, said that he put Jay in a tough spot. But Roman will never let Jay forget what he did to him at the Royal Rumble. But Sami appreciates it. It says that Roman needs to go down. They both know that. And it's finally time for this to happen. This is something they both want. Then he says that there's going to be a way out for Jay at some point here. He's not going to leave Jay behind. He's going to get Jay out of the bloodline. It's going to happen. So Jay he's listening, but he's not showing too many signs of respect right now. So then Sami says, before I go, I want to say something. Then he says, I acknowledge you. And I was like, oh, what? And he put his fist out there. And Jay looked to the left. He looked to the right. Looked right at the camera, by the way. And looked to the right. And was like, man, you better get out of here. And then Sami was like, I'm leaving. But he kept that fist there. And Jay fist bumped him. Oh. See, the thing is, Roman Reigns sees everything. So, at the end of the episode, after the end of the main event and everything, Jimmy Uso is backstage. I don't know what he's doing. But Paul Heyman slithers up next to him. Says that he was talking to Roman Reigns. And he would have put Jimmy on the phone, but Jimmy looked busy or whatever the hell whatever excuse he used to not do it. He then said that Roman wants the Usos to stay home next week. He doesn't want them to come to Montreal because, quote, sometimes you see things on TV that you don't see when you're there live. In other words, Roman saw the interaction between Sami and Jay because he's watching from home. And I get it. For starters, this, of course, it checked a couple of boxes. One, the Usos will not be in Montreal. As one of my subscribers, I think Special J, said that they can't go into Canada because of their criminal record. So it gave them a good excuse to not be able to go to Canada. So, they're essentially banned by Roman's decree that they can't go to Montreal. Instead of being banned, probably like Adam Pearce or something like that, they had to put the heat on Roman Reigns. So, of course, it makes sense. They're hinting that Roman knows about the Sami Jey Uso thing. But it also creates a scenario in which now all Roman, as far as backup, all he got is Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman. And we know Paul Heyman ain't much help. So pretty much all he got is Solo. So this ought to be interesting, especially if they make the Kevin Owens return. It ought to be interesting. The Sami Zayn story here was pretty good. It was light, of course. They didn't go too heavy on it. Basically, this is an episode to write up the Usos off TV next week, which was sort of the goal. The goal was to do something to get the Usos a tag team title defense, get it under their belt, and now they don't have to defend the titles for like 2 weeks or something like that, and they can skip next week's SmackDown. So they gave them an excuse to not be there. I appreciate that. Building a 2-hour show about not having the Usos there, though, was pretty weird. I would have liked for them to milk it a little longer in terms of whether Jay would show up or not. But I think they did subverted expectations again by having the Jay Sami conversation and Sami, coming to Jay like they're really friends. And it's almost like he's trying to get him out of an abusive relationship, which he kind of is, I'm going to get you out of there. Like, like he's not shackled to the radiator. He's, a grown man. He's standing right there. So I liked it. It was very light though. There wasn't a lot of bloodline stuff on this show. No Roman at all. No Solo. So it was pretty light, but I still thought it was solid. All right. Hit Row was defeated by Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. This match took place because Hit Row bitched that they should have fought Sheamus and Drew McIntyre last week in the tournament. So Adam Pearce was like, "Oh, that's great. It's official. You're going to have a match tonight." I'm like, ugh. So McIntyre and Sheamus win. Then they were challenged to a match by the Viking Raiders, who apparently are still going to be wearing face paint, but this is just a regular tag team match. Not a special brawl, fight, last team standing or anything like that. Just a regular old tag team match. Oh. Oof. That one doesn't get the spurs jingling and jangling, like I promise you that. All right. Karrion Kross. He cut a promo saying that he's going to make Rey Mysterio suffer and going to put him down. All right. Later, Madcap Moss says things are going to look up for him. Things are changing. That he got a new look. And when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. That was fine. Rey Mysterio said that he's always been the underdog. That's not going to change. And we already know the Rey Mysterio story. That doesn't change too much. And Santos Escobar is the one who got the short end of the stick because he got a picture-in-picture promo where he basically says that he looks like a champion, competes like a champion. So the main event was a fatal four-way match: Karrion Kross, Rey Mysterio, Madcap Moss, and Santos Escobar. Imperium is watching from a skybox, and let's talk about Gunther. They said Gunther has been Intercontinental Champion for 245 days, which is maybe the second longest reign of all time, or one of the longest reigns of all time. He's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of the modern era. So those 245 days have breezed by. He's had some regular opponents, and he's been an excellent Intercontinental Champion. He's been fantastic. The booking of Gunther has been almost nearly perfect. Nearly perfect. And you would have to nitpick in order for it to be anything less than perfect. But then this happened. Madcap Moss won this match. I kind of went on I'm not sure if I went on a limb and said Madcap Moss would win, but he did. It was an interesting decision to make. Now, Karrion Kross and Rey Mysterio kind of counterbalance each other because they're in the middle of a feud. And this actually led to the finish with Scarlett tripping Rey Mysterio so that Karrion Kross could hit his big running elbow strike thing. And that kind of what led to Madcap Moss getting the pin. He basically just took advantage of what Rey and Kross, taking advantage of what Kross and Scarlett did to Rey. Santos Escobar, I feel so bad. I wanted him on the main roster because I thought they were looking to do something with him. Apparently not. But I can't be mad at Madcap Moss from getting an opportunity. I know a lot of people are just kind of flummoxed by the idea of Madcap Moss winning this match. Since we know Gunther is going to win anyway, it's fine. He was going to beat whoever won, so it's fine. With it being Madcap Moss, it's fine. Because it's an opportunity now for Madcap Moss to cut promos, build a story, build a character. He's the one guy, even though I prefer Escobar and Mysterio and Kross to him, I think that he is a good enough prospect. And maybe putting him in this position isn't the best, because what if he screws around and gets over? Which is what he did with the Baron Corbin storyline. He screwed around and got over, and then people were kind of like, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do with him now? It's like, but I doubt he gets over too much more. Still with the name Madcap, even though he changed his gear. But if you watch Madcap Moss in the ring, you could look at it and see that he got something. He has physical charisma. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. He's athletic. The only thing he's missing is he can even talk, because that's what the whole Madcap Moss gimmick was about. It was about him cutting jokes. And as bad as the jokes were, at least his delivery was good. You just need a character. He needs some material. He needs something, And if this helps, if, bumping heads with, with Imperium for a little while can help, then I would be okay with this. As a stopgap feud, not even really a stopgap feud, but a stopgap match for Gunther, this is fine. It's not like this WrestleMania, okay? It's just a match on SmackDown. It's all right for, undercard guys to get title shots every once in a while, as long as they earn them. Madcap Moss technically did earn this match, so he won. What do we do with Rey Mysterio and Karrion Kross? No doubt Rey Mysterio is going to be wrestling his son at WrestleMania. But what the hell is Karrion Kross going to do? Have we even thought about that? Some people are kind of like, why? He probably going to put him in the Andre Battle Royal or something stupid like that. Probably the same thing for Santos Escobar. It's real sad. Real sad. Big sad. Big bad case of the sads. Moving on. Lacey Evans defeated Carmen Harris, who was a job girl. Okay, fine. She defeated a jobber. Got no problem with that. I don't understand why. Well, at least it was somebody. At least somebody beat up a jobber here. Speaking of jobber, Sonya Deville is complaining about not being in the Elimination Chamber match. Adam Pearce said you had a title shot, which she says, that's not an Elimination Chamber match. So then Chelsea Green appears. She wants to find the SmackDown general manager so she could complain about the Raw general manager, only to find out that it's both Adam Pearce. She should have sold it a lot more when she found out that he was both. And maybe we should have drug it out a lot more. Maybe he should have played a game where he was going to literally go find the SmackDown general manager, only for her to go into his office and it's once again Adam Pearce. She should try to go over his head and say, I'm going to go into the boss's office to open the door and find that it's Adam Pearce. He should just be everything in this position. He's the executive producer. He's the executive vice president of on-screen personalities. He's everything. Anytime she tries to go above him, she just runs into him. That would be great. That'd be a nice little gimmick since they plan it up for comedy. Adam Pearce is tired of Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green's demands and all their whining and complaining. Since they think they should be in the Elimination Chamber match, he put them in a tag team match against two people who are in the Elimination Chamber match. Of course, nothing's on the line. It's not like, hey, if you guys beat them, you get in. Nope, they didn't do that. So they ended up wrestling Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. This match was, oh, Jesus, my goodness. Chelsea Green is really good at acting, though. Like her character work is very good. I'm going to give the girl some credit. She's winning me over with her character work. Again, I say she probably needs some kind of validity. Her just being a jobber sucks. She got pinned in this match too. Remember when Raquel Rodriguez got smacked by Liv Morgan and then she powerbombed her through the floor? I remember that. Pepper's Farm remembers. I guess SmackDown writers don't. Babyfaces, being ignorant. Nobody. Never mind. This was a nothing situation here. Nobody benefits from this. Nobody. Okay. How many more? I guess Charlotte's the last thing. Okay, so Charlotte did a sit down with Michael Cole. And they told the story from Charlotte's perspective of what took place 3 years ago when Charlotte won the Royal Rumble and was challenged by Rhea Ripley and then defeated Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley believes that Charlotte was putting her in her place. And now she needs to make a big revenge at WrestleMania this year. So Charlotte says that that's not really what occurred, that Rhea Ripley challenged her as the NXT champion because Rhea Ripley knew that she was the mountain that needed to be climbed before she could be considered the best. But 3 years ago, Rhea Ripley was young, green, not ready. And said that 3 years later, there's still levels to this, and it's going to take more than 3 years to get on my level. Then she says that she taught Rhea Ripley a lesson 3 years ago, and now she's going to put her in her place. And I kept feeling like this is a heel promo. This is a heel promo. She gave Rhea Ripley zero credit. She didn't put Rhea Ripley over at all. It didn't seem like it. Babyface promo would put over Rhea Ripley like, wow, she has changed a lot in 3 years. I wonder if I still got it. And maybe not to, you still can be cocky. You can say, well, she's improved a lot over 3 years, but it's not enough. That's probably like the better way to put it. But Charlotte she's just so used to cutting heel promos that this felt like a heel promo. It felt like she was talking herself up way too much. And people like cocky baby faces, but only when the baby face is somebody that they like. Like Bianca Belair is kind of a cocky baby face. You could be a cocky baby face and people can enjoy it, but they have to like you as a person. When Charlotte is, she still has that Nepo baby thing tattooed on her forehead where it's like she's only in this position because her last name's Flair. So you can't be too cocky. You have to be somewhat humble. And you have to do a good job of putting over your opponent. That's what the babyface does. The babyface always sells. The babyface is the top seller. They sell the heel. They put the heel over. Either by, letting the heel beat on them for most of the match. You give the heel so much credit. You're resourceful. You're talented. Yada, yada, yada. But just not enough. You're scrappy. But it's all about competition at the end of the day. And you're better than the competition. When you come across and you're just kind of like, I'm 6 different levels above her, people are going to be looking like, what? I hope she wins just to knock you on your ass. You pompous windbag. Charlotte dangerously, very precariously played with that role on this show. But I did like the sit down. I think the sit down format works. They need to do more sit downs. It should be like a sit down, maybe not a week, but every other week or something. It should be a sit down. All right. I tried to skip it. I wanted to skip it. But what would be the point of me doing this video if I skipped Natalya being in the ring with a microphone? Oh my God. I trust R. Kelly in a high school more than I trust Natalya with a microphone in the middle of the ring. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Bro, I wanted to flip over every piece of furniture in the living room at the idea that Natalya was going to cut a promo, that she was going to talk in front of people. She was going to say words out of her mouth about things. I could not care less. At the same time, I was enthralled. They had the audacity to put a microphone in the hands of Natalya and put it in front of, I'm guessing, 1.6 million people or something. I doubt too many people watch this show because this show wasn't the best. At this point in the show, if you're not drunk off light beer or full of pizza and you didn't change the channel, I have to ask the question, why? Natalya's in the ring with a microphone. Yeah, I still couldn't believe it either. She says that for the first time in 15 years, she got taken out. Shayna Baszler broke her nose. And since Shayna Baszler took months of her career, she took Shayna Baszler's spot in an elimination chamber. And she's going to win the elimination chamber. And Shayna Baszler is going to go back to carrying Ronda Rousey's bags. So Shayna Baszler comes out there, says she's tired of everybody dismissing her accomplishments. She was fighting, wrestling, and a champion before Ronda Rousey even showed up. So she doesn't want to hear about anything about being in Ronda Rousey's shadow. So then Ronda Rousey makes her triumphant return to a very mild reaction. Very mild, if any at all. And to be quite honest, she probably got the biggest reaction of this section, considering people were just as astonished as I was and Natalya was in the ring with a microphone. And I know a lot of people were probably looking at each other like, what on earth? Is Triple H like booking from beyond the grave? Like, you gotta be Your brain must not be getting the appropriate amount of oxygen. If you're like, put Natalya in the ring, microphone, 3 minutes. I'll be like, what? What? Or do we have some kind of device like Riddler and Batman and Robin where we're going to control people's brain waves to keep them watching this show? If somebody flicking with their clicker and they land on Natalya in the ring with a microphone, they're going to be like, and change the goddamn channel. Nobody's going to watch this. Nobody's going to watch this, man. Anyway, they beat up Natalya. After teasing they were going to fight each other, they beat up Natalya. Ronda and Shayna as a tag team, I like it. Horror's incredible that there is about the amount of charisma as a mustard seed in between the two of them. Between the two of them, they have as much charisma as one of Natalya's. Let's not say that. Let's not say it. But let's just say that her silicone. Her sister is hot. Natalya's sister is hot. And she has giant tits too. She's hot. But man, Natalya, ooh boy. Ooh. Big auntie energy. But not Auntie Pam auntie energy. That's Auntie Pam is hot. Natalya, she's got cat lady energy. And I know she's a cat lady, so it's not really not that on point. But man, TJ, my friend, brother, I will say TJ Wilson is my favorite wrestler. If he helps us by something. Hopefully he didn't get fixed. Hopefully if she didn't get fixed, I'm still hoping that maybe Natalya will change her mind about having a baby and she'll have to go away for 2 years or something like that. She only been back like a week or two. And I'm already exasperated. I'm already over the hill. I didn't had it up to here. All right, I done had it up to here. It's been 15 years of this. I done had it up to here. Enough with the Natalya. It's too much. Okay, it's too much. All right, that's SmackDown in a nutshell. The show was mid. Not my favorite episode of SmackDown. The Bloodline stuff was probably light this week. No Gunther. No really big match that I was really into. The Fatal 4-Way was okay, but they didn't do a good job of building it up. It felt random and it felt rushed. And, they really didn't do a big angle or anything like that on the show either. So it was just an episode of SmackDown that exists. What say you? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.